Hello and welcome back to Animated Banners with CSS. When we were working on our Photoshop file, we downloaded a couple of fonts to use in that comp, but now we need to link to those fonts in our HTML and CSS so that we can use them on the web page. So again, we're going to go to google.com/fonts and we're going to search for our two fonts and then once again add them to our collection. So if you remember, one of them is called Pathway Gothic 1. And if I type in Pathway, we can see that one show up here. So I'm going to click to add that to the collection. And then we'll do a search for the other one, which is called Bigelow Rules. And here it is. So we'll click to add that to the collection. Then we'll come down to this collection section, click on Use, and it will take us to a new page where we can choose the styles that we want. And we only have one style for each of these two fonts. Sometimes you'll have more styles available, but you really only want to choose the styles you're going to use. So once we've selected those, we can scroll down a little bit and we can see the code that we need to add to our website in order to import these fonts and use them on our page. So there are actually a couple of different options. We can do it using a link tag and link to a style sheet that contains the information for those fonts, or we can use an @import statement inside our current style sheet, which is what we're going to do. And then a third option is to import it using JavaScript. Again, we're going to do it using the @import statement. And the difference is you would use the standard link tag if you were going to link to it from within your HTML file, and you would use the @import statement if you're going to do it from within your CSS file. So we're going to do it from within our CSS file. So we'll just highlight this import statement here, copy it, and then jump into our code. So I'm going to go to our banner.css file, and I've moved everything into a new folder, so all the changes we make in this lesson will be saved in the banner03 folder. And then I'm going to come up here to the very top and nudge this banner class down a couple of lines, and then go back up to the top and paste our code. So now we're importing the Bigelow Rules font and the Pathway Gothic 1 font into this CSS file, and we can now point to those fonts in our code. And the way we point to those fonts, if we go back to the Google Fonts site and scroll down just a little bit further, we can see the rules or the properties we need to use to get those to work. So here we have font family, Bigelow Rules, cursive. So cursive would be whatever default cursive font your user has on his or her system in case the Bigelow Rules font isn't working. And then for the Pathway Gothic 1, you would do it kind of the same way, except you would use sans serif instead of cursive for the fallback font. Well, if we go to our Photoshop file, we have two different fonts that we're using. The Pathway Gothic 1 font is used in our H3 tags, such as up here in the header where it says everything is 30% off. And the Bigelow Rules font is used down here in the lower right section, and those are used in paragraph tags. So we can assign these font families to our H3s and our paragraphs within our banner in order to make that work. So let's jump back into our CSS and let's do that. So we've got a rule for our banner class. Now I'm going to skip a couple lines after that rule and create a new rule for the H3 tags within that banner. So any H3s that appear inside the banner class, we're going to give a font family of Pathway Gothic 1. So inside single quotes here, we'll type Pathway Gothic 1, and then we could put any backup fonts here afterwards. Now the sample on the Google Fonts page said just to put Pathway Gothic 1, space, sans serif. And we definitely want that sans serif as a backup font, but there's a few others I want to try to target first in case this Pathway Gothic font isn't working for some reason. So if it's not working, let's try Helvetica first. And if the user doesn't have that, let's try Arial Narrow. And if that doesn't work, let's try Arial. And if that doesn't work, we'll go to the default sans serif font. So that takes care of our H3s. Now we're going to point to the paragraphs within our banner and give them a different font family. So font family, and we're going to set that to Bigelow Rules. And you can come up with any number of substitute fonts you want to use if that one doesn't work. But I'm just going to use a fallback of sans serif once again. using the cursive fallback doesn't really give our site the look and feel that we want to it. So I'm just going to fall back to sans serif because it's really either Bigelow rules or nothing. It's not going to look too good if that Bigelow rules doesn't work. So if for some reason it doesn't work, I'm just going to fall back to the default sans serif. Now since we're here, we can go ahead and apply that red color to it. If we go back to our Photoshop file, we can use our color picker here and then click anywhere in that red text to see the color that we have, EA5858. So I'm just going to copy that value, hit escape, and then go back into our code, and inside the rule for our banner we can create a color property here, hit pound, and then paste that value of EA5858, and it will turn those paragraphs red. And we could do something similar for the H3 tags, and since I already know the hex value here, I'll go ahead and type it in instead of walking through the Photoshop process again. But the value we're going to use here is 5F8CBF. And that will give our H3 tags that blue color. So let's save our CSS file, and let's open our HTML file in Chrome just to see if it works. So we can't see the text by default because it's all pushed down here near the bottom, but if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, we can see that that worked. Now it's not the right size yet, but we'll get to sizing and placement later on. I just want to make sure that our fonts are working, and we see that they are. The Pathway Gothic 1 font is working here, and the Bigelow Rules font and the color that we chose are working down at the bottom. So that's a good start. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.